Welcome to the Field to the Deal podcast. This episode is not brought to you by the Denver Broncos. Unless the Broncos want to sponsor us, text me, let me know, 720-361-5657. We'll take a sponsorship from the Broncos if we want to. But today, which X do we miss more? Who is more likely to win this weekend, CU or CSU, or Broncos versus Steelers? Bo Nix threw the ball 42 times. What game plan adjustments are we getting behind on? Bearish or bullish on the Broncos this season after a week 1 loss? And how many times will TJ Watt say hi to Bo Nix? Answering those questions is the man between the two of us. He rushed for 168 yards in a single game on 32 carries. CJ Anderson, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Good to be back. Having some fun again, talking football.
Another man answering questions is the man that makes Saul Goodman have nightmares about him, the founder of Authentic Athletics, the super agent, Peter Schaefer, Esquire. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm repping out Alan Lazard's jersey from Monday night.
Oh, yeah.
He had 2 tuggies, so I figured I'd rep at least for the beginning of the show. And there's a lot going on. Last night was a very impactful, very distressful sight to see Tua get another concussion. You know, it's such a great young man and whatever. But boy, I'll tell you, seeing him on the field in that fencing position scares the heck out of me. As an agent, as a fan, as a player, everything.
What's your conversation with a player like that after the game or even with his family? Because I'm sure his agent is talking to him today or after the game of what's going on.
Well, actually, it starts if you're in the stadium, you know, you're in the stands or in a box or somewhere. So obviously you're in communications with either the general manager or assistant GM or whatever. You can get down in the locker room, but you're probably not going to be allowed in it during the game. So you're trying to find out what's going on. You try to get your concussion experts lined up. You want to make sure that the wife or the family has full information because they're panicking. At the same time, your phone's blowing up by 8 million people. And of course, you'd like to be able to respond to all of them, but you don't want to do that, including media people left and right. Then, you know, then you want to find out, you know, your first sort of concern is, you know, how's the player? There are 2 types of injuries. You know, if you have an ankle and knee or whatever, okay, that's fine. But something like this, which could be catastrophic, you know, changes the dynamics of everything at that point.
Yeah, so 2014, I've had 1 record concussion. I got a concussion in the preseason game against Seattle at home. I came to in the 4th quarter. Like, I got up and was wobbly. Tried to go back to the huddle. I don't remember what happened. I had teammates telling me at halftime I was crying. I had to take my helmet. I tried to get back in. But I remember coming to in the 4th quarter, and the first phone call I got was from Pete. And he checked on me. You know, he asked, you know, he was going to do some follow-up questions, how severe it was. He had some people lined up. And then fast forward to like 2016 when I tore my meniscus, we immediately like jumped on the plane, came out here to California to see Dr. Ting, who's like really, really good, like one of the best when it comes to sports surgeries and those things out in Fremont. But Pete had those things lined up, and like having an agent, right? You know, if you have an agent that obviously it's bigger than just me paying him his 3% every year. You know, it cares about the person and the player. Hopefully Tua has someone like that. Because I know when it came to like my concussion, or when it came to like ankle injuries that I had, when he introduced me to Jace, I wonder how Jace is doing, by the way.
Good
wonder
man.
if he's doing well, right? But he introduced me to Jace when it came to like my ankle injuries and just rehab and little rehab stuff like that, or like the big knee injury when I had surgery. He had those people lined up with the concussions and everything that came from me. So hopefully, you know, prayers out to Tua. Like it's just like that. It's not the fact that he was in the fixing position. It's the fact that we've seen that position from him over the last 2.5 years, right? In different contests that he's played in. So,
yeah, no, it's a terrible situation to see someone in, not just professionally, but personally, because of what are the long-term side effects that we're learning from concussions that are impacting, you know, retired players to this day. And we're learning a lot about it. And you just sort of, you know, hope to make the best decisions for him, not just professionally, but personally, so he can have the best long, you know, active life that he can have.
Yeah, I do have one question before we move on. Pete, if I was in that position, would you talk me into the Guardian cap?
You know, that's an interesting. You mean before the episode last night?
Before the episode last night.
Interesting.
Knowing I have those issues of concussions, right? Like
not,
the Luke Kuechly's and those people, would you would have talked because I know people wear the thing around their neck and that's supposed to help. And I don't know how like Tony Pollard does it. Luke Kuechly did it when I was in Carolina in those couple months that I was in there before I got to the Rams.
I would not try to talk you into the Guardian helmet. I would make you wear the Guardian helmet.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially for a quarterback. What with his history? What are we doing?
Right.
I mean, and if the Guardian helmet's not, looks awkward or whatever, let's find another helmet with a soft shell on it. Because the hit that he took, what happens is because of the second impact syndrome, each time you have a concussion, it takes less of an impact to create more damage. All right, the same sort of nerves and fluids that go into the neck go into the brain. So like if you injure your neck, one time it's there, it hurts. The next time it doesn't take as much to have a greater impact. It's the same deal. So with that situation, even though he got through a year last year, I think he should have been wearing that helmet or some semblance of it. Come up with something maybe less. Whatever awkward or wherever your issue is with it, but put something on because that hit was not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple players that's wearing it, and like obviously, I was out the league when the Guardian cap thing came in the fruition. I do remember after my first concussion, though, I changed my helmet. Right, like this is the helmet that I changed to when I received my first concussion. This is the helmet that I had when I received the first concussion. And if you go look back at some 2014, 2015 pictures later in the year, this part of this helmet was like super thick. The pads on the inside was different. It's crazy I had this helmet sitting here. But I completely changed what my helmet looked like to have a better helmet that prevented concussions. And I never, knock on wood, I've only had one concussion in my career.
Well, he was wearing, my understanding was that Tua was wearing the most
protective helmet that
concussion helmet. That's right.
That they provide.
But it's still a hard shell. It's still a tortoise shell. So, so we're just hope for him. I'm sure today's going to be a long day. No decision should be made. Back when CJ he got his concussion 2014, the concussion protocols were nowhere near what they are today.
Yeah,
you could find ways back then to skirt the system, pass the test, play,
get back on the field. Yep.
Yeah, and if you had a concussion on Sunday, they didn't rule you out for that next weekend right away.
Yeah.
I mean, there were ways that if you needed to play, you could play. And the first thing is let's make sure he's not symptomatic today. That's the worst part, which would be nausea, headaches, vertigo.
Light sensitivity.
Yeah. The other thing is, which is a sort of a counter, and I'm watching it here on TV, the byproduct of concussions is depression.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, when you wake up, you don't know why. I had one player wake up and he's like, I was crying. I had no idea why I was crying, but it was sort of a byproduct of that concussion. So it's not as easy as a knee or an ankle. There's a lot more that goes into this.
No, absolutely. No, I remember talking to Dr. Bruton about it. He played with you, CJ, David Bruton, because he's got a concussion recovery room in his office for players and people. It's amazing what they can do for recovery, but also like the symptoms and what you have to deal with to get through that. I don't envy that position at all. So one thing I wanted to remind you guys, upcoming this Sunday at 2:20, we're getting back together. We're going to do a watch along for the Steelers game. So we're going to have Scott McLaughlin, Chad Brown, other friends of the show. Is there anybody else we're adding to this list, Peter?
We're going to have some more people there. It's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, it's not going to be what people, or at least what the NFL envisioned when they threw it on the schedule, because they sure thought Russell Wilson would play. And, I think he's 50-50 whether he's going to play right now. The one thing you won't get out of the Steelers, because the Steelers are very much like a hockey organization. They don't give up anything they don't have to give up. Yeah, they'll give you the injury report, but they're not telling anything. And
absolutely. So here's the question I have for you guys. Have you guys ever Facebook stalked your ex? See how they're doing? Hope the next person they're dating is just not as good looking as you?
That's impossible. That's impossible in my situation. They're all better looking than me. So
I'm usually all right. I mean, if you decide to make that decision, that's the decision you decide to make. I'm usually I'm usually the catch. Nah. I wouldn't say I Facebook stalk my ex, but you do wonder if if you really do like somebody or love somebody, you do wonder what's going on with them at times. I will say that.
And now we have our ex Russell Wilson coming back in town this week. And we see on the Facebook post, oh, he's going to be back in town. I wonder if I'll run into him. It's like there's the other ex that we haven't talked about yet, but Jerry Jeudy. Have you kept an eye on him? Last week, 3 catches, 25 yards, and a TD.
Yeah, the Browns just played terrible though.
Which ex do we miss more?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we consider. No offense to Jerry Jeudy, who's hopefully he's going to have a great season in Cleveland, but when you're the quarterback, and that's an ex. Jerry Jeudy was just a casual fling.
I would agree with that. If anything, right, the hype around Russ was completely different than the hype around Jerry Jeudy when Jerry Jeudy was drafted, I think 15th or 16th overall. Right, I always thought Jerry Jeudy had a hands issue. I said that to my boy Mike Kliss when that happened. Like, he just looked at his Alabama tape, a lot of body catches and stuff. But obviously the speed you can't talk about. But what you thought you were going to get from Russell Wilson had you excited. And then when you did not get that from Russell Wilson.
But isn't that we kind of thought the same thing about Jerry Jeudy? We thought we were going to get this great wide receiver. First round wide receiver.
Where? He went Demarius. God rest his soul. He went Emmanuel.
There's a lot of hype.
Who you thought he was going to be?
No, he was a speed. He's a speed guy down the middle. He's not a WR1. But
yeah, he's not a 1. Yeah, he's not a 1.
He's not even a 1.
Like, he wasn't to me, I wouldn't have took him first round. Obviously, he went first round, right? You got the Alabama tag, right? You win it. You're playing well, right? You're playing but he wasn't like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He wasn't a game changer. He can stretch the field and do some good things, but he wasn't.
He's a guy that if you have, Cortland Sutton and another one, he could be a great third.
Yeah.
That's what Cleveland's looking for him to be, with what they've got there. But so far, 3 for 30 with a tug, that's probably what he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So then 25 team run plays last week for the Broncos, 4 targets to tight ends, 3 of them being Dulcich, 1 to Troutman. Bo Nix threw the ball 42 times. What game plan adjustments are we just getting behind? Is that why we didn't run the ball?
Some of that is tainted. So I remember just watching, obviously I'm still waiting on my agent to send me the stuff so I can watch film so I can come to you guys with better stuff. But I did rewatch the game, so I will say that. I did rewatch the game. There's a lot of RPOs. Like, they ran, I would say out of those 25 truly run plays, 8 to 12 of them were RPOs where he actually pulled it and let it go out, right? Those 2-yard, 3-yard passes. Some of those was RPOs. So, there is the run-pass option, not like Geno Smith, right? The pass option, truly the run-pass option. And, Bo threw a lot of those RPOs, which, if you're throwing the ball across the line of scrimmage, it counts as a mark as an attempt for a pass attempt. But they were really running the ball in some of those scenarios as well.
Would you like to see the ball going to more running backs, more tight ends? That's kind of where I'm going here. It's like, do we need a Dulcich sighting to make a big play this week? Is that something we're missing?
Well, we're going to talk about this a lot on Sunday. The Steelers' defense is a lot different than the Seahawks, which is basically the reincarnation of the Ravens. Steelers is very 3-4. They're bringing multiple blitz packages, usually going to be in what's called the cover 3. That type of deal, but it's really based upon everybody doing their job. And so I don't think you go into the game saying that we're going to get the ball to the tight end and we're going to get against the Steelers. You got to take what they give you, and you got to be able to see what they're going to give you in order to take it.
Yeah, I can tell you this in my 2 or 3 times playing the Steelers in my career. I think the playoff game was the only game I rushed high. It was like 90 yards or something, but it's hard to run the ball against the Steelers, and you got to find a way. I would like to see more scheme design runs. Obviously, you got to have a plan for TJ Watt, but I think you have to have more scheme design runs and not so much RPOs, right? I know when we played Pittsburgh, we didn't really want to put him in base, right? We didn't want to see Timmons and Harrison, right? Or even if you go back to the old Steelers, Casey Hampton, right? Brett Kiesel. You don't want to really see all 7 of them on the field at the same time. We come out in 11 personnel. They're playing their sub defense, right? They're in their nickel, right? That might lighten up the box enough for us to run, right? But the Steelers is usually tough. So it'll be interesting to see what Sean does. But I personally would like to see some design scheme as far as running the football and not so much RPO where Bo has a decision. Like if you want some design runs for Bo, create some design runs for Bo.
No,
I think too is what CJ's talking about is with the Steelers, they really run. If you go to a two-back offense, which we'll see you call 21 personnel, they're going base, and that base means that they're going to have a nose tackle, 2-5 techniques, and 2 stand-up linebackers, and what they call the Mike and the Buck. As soon as you go to 11 personnel and you bring 3 receivers in, they're taking the nose out, and they're going to go to what they call a nickel or dime front. And now they're taking these 2-5 techniques, which are playing over the end, and they're going to move them to 3 techniques, and then so you're dictating what they do based upon your personnel.
Yeah, and I think their Troy Polamalu is like Mika Fitzpatrick, who can play in the box and do things, right? So like he can still stop the run, but then that opens up the pass game. And if Mika wants to play back, like when Nick LeBeau is a big cover 2 guy.
So right here we got this.
Yes, there you go.
All right.
There you go, right there. So that's your 3-4 defense that Pete's showing up on the screen right now. Pete, hold it there. Right now, your arms get tired. Who's listening to music, by the way?
I'm in a conference room for a work event, guys. So
we just podcast, be cool with that. But here's the 3-4 defense right here, right? And what we're saying is, right, when you come out in 11 personnel, so move RF. Right, put them in the slot. Right, they take this Will and this Sam, make them ends, take the nose out, move one of those 5 techniques over, and now you have that 6-man box. And if they want to bring down Mika Fitzpatrick or Troy Polamalu back in my day, if they want to bring those people down to stop the run, opens up the pass. If they want to keep them back and play coverage, kind of like what Buffalo was doing last night with that 4-man front 6-man box, you can find a way to run the ball and be very successful with gap schemes and different things. So I that's what I would like to see. But obviously it's Sean's world, and we'll see on Sunday.
On a number side, he did throw the ball 42 times, and I think the Seahawks defense was daring him to throw. Do you think the Steelers are going to dare him to throw 40 plus times again this week?
I mean, that's what you want. I mean, if I'm playing a rookie quarterback, right? I mean, you saw all the rookie quarterbacks struggle in week 1. If I'm playing a rookie quarterback, you kind of want them to throw, especially if the run game can really get going. Now, if you don't fear the run game as much, like I know everybody was like, and I got nothing against the kid. Everybody was super excited about the Niners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I guess he had like 20-something carries for like 147. The difference between him and like a Christian McCaffrey or anybody else, like that game is like a 180, 200-yard game, right?
Mm-hmm.
160, 170 plus game, right? So like, obviously it helps Brock Purdy that they had that run game, but when the run game is not deadly and it's efficient, but the pass game can be deadly, I think that can hurt any team at any point. So I don't know if the Steelers will want them to throw the ball as much. I think they want to. If I'm the Steelers, you want to put the ball in Bo Nix as much hands where I can have my all-pro superstar, hopefully future Hall of Famer maybe, and TJ Watt get after you multiple times, because the multiple times, like you saw Vaughn last night, the multiple chances that you're going to drop back and throw the ball, I'm eventually going to get to you. And if usually one of those get to you are strip sacks and change the game, those type of things.
Yeah. No, Peter, if you had Bo Nix or a rookie quarterback on your roster, and after the game throwing 42 times, besides getting him in an ice pack for his arm, what would you be telling him? What would that phone call sound like with Bo Nix?
You mean as an
As
agent?
an agent.
Like our talks, like our talks after the game. If you have
what's your call after the game?
Say, look, well, first of all, they would be getting ready to go on the plane, so they usually call from the bus on the way home, which is fine. And you sit there and say, it is different now than it was 20 years ago. But as soon as they get on the plane, they got the iPads and they're watching. And I would sit there and say, why don't you go through? And like here it is. They would already have it up on the iPad, right?
Pete doing me janky, y'all. I can be having all this, so I can give y'all way more knowledge.
Come on, Pete. Share the screen.
Yeah, see, Pete doing me janky, fellas.
So coming up, I want to talk about CU and the CSU game with Coach Prime and how they're with what they're going with. But I just want to mention Simpler.ai helps your organization be seen in a complex digital world. In the description, you can click on the link on their site. You can schedule a time to talk that's convenient for you. Plus, this weekend, our watch along with this Broncos game versus the Steelers. CJ will be there. Peter will be there. Former GM Scott. He was great last week. We had him on. I had a ton of compliments coming from Scott.
Hugh Jackson was great too.
Yeah, man. Me and Hugh conversation was
yeah,
football,
no,
right? That's true football. What you got to see from me and Hugh yesterday, like how I talk as a running back to my coach, but as a guy who sees the game past the running back position, right? I think Hugh knows that about me already. So yeah, it all works out.
We got former Steeler and CU alum Chad Brown coming over to watch along with us on Sunday as well. So excited!
And you never know when Pac-Man's just going to dial in either.
Yeah, or Talib. You know, I talked to Talib. I don't know if I get him this week, but we'll get him in there.
You know what? It's funny. CJ Lillian works out over at Landau Performance.
Okay.
And she was there yesterday. I guess Peyton Manning works out at the same time she does.
Uh-oh.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say is he works out the same time she does.
Well, I had to shoot Peyton the text. I know they had some bad ratings on the Madden cast. I told him that's because you giving my signals away too, bro. Stop giving my signals away. You know I'm running your offense. Stop doing it.
I do think though the one thing that I think that they're going to find is when you have a young quarterback, you want to try to be conservative. You don't want to put too much on his plate, and teams know that. So I do think that Seattle, they weren't worried about the deep ball. Broncos really didn't go deep at all. Yep. And the only way you're ever going to take the top off the defense or fear them, even when I'm playing flag football or whatever, if I'm not worried about the guy running by me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
If that first couple plays,
complete two deep balls, it opens up. You got to back up when you complete two.
Shoot, I don't even know if you have to complete. Just
run
by the guy, make the guy worry. Because you don't want to go to film and let the coach see that.
Right.
So I think that they will. I think as I'm watching the Seattle tape again, Seattle's doing a lot of movement before the snap, trying to confuse them. I think that they took advantage of the right tackle a little, both in terms of one-on-one matchups and blitzing, and that caused when the Broncos made the adjustments to keep an extra guy in, which means you're only sending 4 out on the patterns, and all that seemed to go together. And I do think the other thing is that first game, no matter what you say as a rookie, everything's going
fast.
so fast.
It's so fast. It's so fast.
It
ain't preseason. It is a next step. It is fast. I'm pretty sure Bo was like, "Whoa, I didn't expect it to be this fast."
And even CJ's like, I remember when he was a young whippersnapper rookie. He's like, "Oh, I can do this, and then and I'm ready. I'm NFL ready. I'm this. And he did a nice job as a rookie. But all of a sudden, I remember him coming back to the off season and OTAs and going, "Wow, I see so much more now than I did then."
Yep.
Yeah. I remember that.
Your pride gets you, man. It gets you.
It catches up to you. Going up back to the run game, but now we're going back to college. Big game this weekend. CU, CSU.
Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Let's go. Can CU and Coach Prime stick with the run? CU ran the ball just 22 times last week.
What do you mean stick with the run?
Can they try the run? Can they
dead last in the country in the run?
62 offensive plays, 17 total yards with an average of 0.7 yards per carry is the average. If they take out the carries Sanders had out for negative 30 yards, those look a little better. But CJ, can you call Coach Prime and help us out? Like, what are you calling Coach Prime and talk to him about this week?
If I talk to him about this week, it's we have to find a way to scheme it. I think it's a scheme thing, right? I heard a thing on Twitter. I was on Twitter scrolling. Pat Shurmur was doing his little interview or whatever that week, and when they brought up the run game, and Pat's hiding it, kind of. Pat says, we have good runners, right? We have good linemen, right? We just, we got to run the ball. And he said it so vague. And it's like, when I'm sitting there listening to it, because this is what I know about Pat Shurmur. And like I said, I don't know if Prime's handcuffing him. I don't know if Prime is telling him, like, this is how we want to do things. Like, Pat gets under center, right? Pat runs duo, right? Pat is a gap scheme guy. Like, comes from the Norv Turner system, which is, 40 ride, 30 ride, which is their inside zone. But it's more of a power. Like, go look at LaDainian Tomlinson and Michael Turner, right? Back in those San Diego, right now, LA Charger days, right? It's right. Go look at Mike Shula. Am I saying that right? Was that Cam Newton's offensive coordinator, Pete? Mike Shula during right? Yeah, so Mike Shula is from the North Turner tree. And obviously you got the zone read because you got Cam Newton, but look at Jonathan Stewart. A lot of gap schemes, right? Not a lot of outside zone, right? Even with D'Angelo Williams, a lot of gap schemes going on, right? Where they're double teaming and pulling and or pulling two and opposing their will on people. That is who Pat Shurmur is. That is not what you see, right? In Boulder. And I don't know if it's because Prime's like, hey, don't bring all that NFL stuff here, or let's keep it mixed. There's a lot more shotgun runs than it is under center runs where they can fire off the ball and come downhill. So that's what I would try to do if I was Pat in Pat's position as Prime. Like, Prime, if you really want to run the ball, right, I can still throw the ball 28 times with your son, right, to get the stats that he needs or to get whatever he needs for whatever, right? Those little allegations are out there, right? I don't think that's all about that. Now, obviously, they're trying to win the game. But if you want to make this easier for Shedeur, there's ways where I can get him to run the ball, and then ways I can put the ball in the belly and pull it out, and now we can take shots down the field with all this speed that we have on the outside with our receivers, right? Like, it's crazy. So if I was talking to Prime, that's what I would say. Like, you got to scheme up the run game because it's a lot of man blocking schemes, what they got going on right now. You got to scheme up the run game, right? That puts you in a position to get 3 to 4 yards of carry, hopefully 4 yards of carry, because that's what you want. And then off of that, when if you have good backs like you say they do, right? Then the scheme gets you 4, the back gets you 40, right? So that's kind of how I would see it and how I would do it. And it's tough when you see yourself dead last bottom of the run, and you can't run and you can't do it like you can't not be physical and all of a sudden want to be physical. Like, you can't be finesse, and then 4th and 1, we need to be physical. You're not physical the whole time, so it's that's another thing too. But if I was Pat, that's what I was trying to do.
I would also say this: in college, you don't have as much practice time as you do in the pros.
Very true.
And running is not, you could put a pass play in and walk through it on Friday or whatever, but running is something you have to practice.
Yep.
And so therefore you have to dedicate X amount of periods and practice to do it, and you just wonder if, with all that they've got going on with Shedeur, if they're really dedicating the amount of time. And I remember I have a coach who was an offensive line coach for a team. I won't tell you which team, but and he's like, we have a defensive-minded coach, and so head coach. So we never get to practice running game in practice because he's always focused on his defense. His defense. And they found a way to overcome that by doing extra stuff in meetings or whatever. But, I think there's something to be said that you have to dedicate practice time. It's not just sit there saying, we want to run, we want to be tougher. You actually have to practice and work at it.
Now, the difference between the college and the pros is they do have physical practices. There's 105 kids on the roster. Now, is everybody talented? That's a different question. But the practices are usually more physical in college because they do scrimmages and they do because they don't get preseason games. So you have to create those scenarios in practice. I remember when I was in college with Coach Jeff Tefford, right? He put a lot of, right? Obviously, he had 3 quarterbacks in the league, right? Put a lot of people in the NFL. Every Tuesday was our physical run day. Defense stopped the run, us learning how to run the ball, and it's live periods, right? I mean, obviously, you don't want nobody to get hurt, but we're tackling and we're going live to do that. Right, which, I mean, if you look at Coach Teffer and all the backs from Etchema all the way to the end of me, right, that's in between that is J.J. Arrington, 2nd-round pick, Marshawn Lynch, 1st-round pick, Javid Best, 1st-round pick, Shane Vereen, 1st-round pick, Justin Forsett, 4th-round pick. When you look at all those backs, right, then myself undrafted, right, why we were so successful in college with the run game is because how physical we practice it, like Pete talked about.
No, that's a great point with the physical practices, having the depth on the roster too to try it. But you lose track that they don't have as much time to practice, and it is, a process of working together and needing more practice to run the ball well. If you're watching, we love it. Just a reminder: retweet this out, share it with your friends, tell people about us as we're a new show here. Share it with your friends. Much appreciated if you do. But here's the next follow-up question with CU guys. They are favored by 7 with the over/under at 58.5.
It was a shootout last year.
Yeah.
It was a shootout of 43-35 or something last year.
So are you asking us who wins or take the over or under?
Just who wins, and do you expect CU to win and do you expect them to cover?
I expect CD to. I expect Prime to win this one on the road. I think this is also the first time in a very long, because this game is usually played at Mile High or at CU. Like, this is the first time in a long time it's at like in Fort Collins.
Yeah,
right.
no,
So it's gonna be rocking.
It's gonna be bonkers up there.
I do have CU winning this one. And part of it is, one thing I know about Prime, he knows how to take other people's words and get his team highly motivated. So I know earlier in the year, the quarterback said something about him, the receiver said something about him. Talking about like, hey, it's all, what their Instagram followers now, or look how I know Prime know how to use that to motivate his cats and make it personal like he did last year. Now, I don't think it'll be as close as it was last year. I think Prime should win this by 2 scores, but we'll see.
Oh. No, I like it. Do you expect CU to make a bowl game this year still?
Yeah, I told you Prime 8 for me is like the move forward.
Let's go.
There should be 6 or 7 wins in that schedule. Like, I mean, obviously, right, this win, right, which would be win number 2. They play Baylor at home. I think they beat Baylor at home. Baylor didn't look good at all, so that's win number 3. Texas Tech don't look good at all. Like, that's win number 4. I can't remember who else was on the schedule.
I don't care who else is on the schedule. They're getting 6 to 8 wins. I'm with you, CJ.
I think Arizona's on the schedule.
There's a huge difference between 6 and 8.
I know that. I said 8 is the ceiling. Ceiling 8 is the ceiling. I didn't say 8 was the 8 is the ceiling. They get
CJ, you ever get hit with a wet blanket right in the middle of a conversation? That's like what that's like. Peter's like, 8 wins.
8 is the ceiling, Pete. 8 is the ceiling for me. I don't see them getting over 8.
They should be able to beat Colorado State. So that's 2.
Right.
Baylor's 5th. Baylor's a coin toss.
Nah, they'll be Baylor. They'll be Baylor.
If they beat Baylor, that guy's going to get fired this year.
I think Dave Aranda's on the hot seat anyway, without them losing the Prime. But yeah.
What about UCF? What's UCF got right now?
UCF will be a good game in Florida. That will be a dogfight. That'll be a dogfight. I'm giving you 50-50 on that one. That's not an automatic win for me.
So if that's the case, so with Baylor you're saying Baylor's 3, right?
Baylor's 3. UCF is 50-50. Keep reading the schedule. I'm giving you my.
Well, no, so right, but so UCF has played. They beat Sam Houston and they beat New Hampshire, so they haven't played anybody. We don't know what they are. This week they play TCU, so we will know.
Yeah, and I think Gene's a good coach. So Gene I think he's a great. He was good in Auburn.
So
he's a solid coach.
Yeah, and then they have a bye between that and Colorado. K-State's ranked 14th in the nation.
K-State will be an L. Arizona won't be as good. Arizona is also living off of last year. Arizona's not that good. Like,
they're ranked 20th in the nation right now,
and they will lose tonight against Kansas State.
But
they're going to lose tonight against Kansas State. I'm telling you this from a guy, and I love Zoe, my boy Zoe, the running back coach over there at AZ. Right? Obviously, Brett Brennan he was the head coach at San Jose State. They're living off of what Fish and them did last year. I'm telling you, with the coaching staff that Arizona has, which is pretty solid, I don't see them being super successful, right, like they were a year ago. That's just Cincinnati. They're living off that. Cincinnati is another win. That's 4.
No, Cincinnati, they're not. That's a toss-up.
Oh.
Derek Wolf's not playing for him anymore. We'll beat them.
Or Kelsey.
What's that?
Any of them. Arizona potentially 5. Cincinnati right there, they're 6. But if you want to give me Arizona, Cincinnati's 5. Texas Tech is 6.
All right,
can't get away from Texas Tech.
Do you think? Well, I mean, Utah will be tough, but what about Kansas to wrap the year up?
Kansas, but you got Utah, Colorado, you got Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. Boom, 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 mate.
Yeah, those. That's why I see 8, or 8 is the ceiling because of those 3 games. But he should win 6 or 5 because they got Texas Tech on the schedule still, right?
Go. Come on, yes. I believe in Prime.
Right. I'm going to there's Texas Tech. There's Cincinnati. That should give you 6.
Hey, CJ, when next time you talk to Prime, you can tell him that I love him and Peter hates him.
I am planning to go down in Colorado on October 26th to go see Prime play Cincinnati. I will say this, too, since everybody knows this, and I'll repeat this on Saturday. I will be in Colorado on October 16th doing an appearance that I got in on with somebody with the company called Sierra, which is an outdoor thing. I'm not promoting it on this podcast, but you will see me October 26th. I will put more details when I know more about it. But I will. October 16th, I will be
Let's
out.
go. Welcome. Come on back to Colorado.
It's been a while. So yeah, Pete, I was gonna tell you that I'm stopping by your house. I need a place to stizzy.
We'll be there.
I know.
All right. So moving on then to the Broncos and the Steelers this weekend. What are your guys' quick thoughts on that? The Steelers are coming to town and they're favored by 2.5. Justin Fields is at least probably the 50-50 or better than 50-50 to be the starting quarterback. What are your thoughts? How's the game going to play out, CJ?
Keys to win a game for both teams. Obviously, you don't want to turn the ball over, right? So Steelers want to win. Don't turn the ball over, right? Justin Fields be really, really, really good with the ball. And obviously, they got to find a way to put up points. If the defense is creating turnovers for the Steelers and putting them in short fields, and it can be a long day for the Broncos. I think on the other side of the ball, Broncos learn if DJ is creating turnovers against Justin Fields, put the ball in the box because, the offense on the other end isn't that strong, right? So put the ball in the box, put the pressure on Justin Fields to make him throw, and then obviously protect the football, right? You had turnovers last week that kind of altered the game, right? Protect the football. And then obviously both special teams will be as big as they've been for these two organizations, but both special teams will be just as big. So I think this is the key to wins on both sides. But you got to have a plan for TJ. If you don't have a plan for TJ Watt, he can wreck the game. And if he wrecks the game, Bronco won't have no chance of winning.
The over-under is 36.5.
Well, I do think you're right. I think the one thing is with Mike Tomlin, he never makes his quarterbacks or requires his quarterbacks to win games.
True.
And so they will do a nice job with Justin Fields, just like they did last week, in letting him just do what he does. They don't ask him to do things he can't do. Belichick always said, if a guy can only do 3 things, you're a bad coach if you ask him to do 4. So Tomlin really does that. They're not going to ask Justin Fields to go crazy and have to be, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen last night. And he does have great feet. I know that VJ is an extremely smart defense coordinator. I would not have to tell him or tell you to tell him that let's keep Fields in the pocket, make him beat you with his arm, because if he beats you with his legs, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, right? Like which team? I think in this game with two offenses with quarterbacks still trying to prove themselves. Whoever has the better third down day, like look at the last week, whoever has the better third down percentage, is most likely the team that can win the game. So like if Justin can create with his feet on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and go get 12 or 13 and win a couple of those first and keep drives going where they can put balls out there and kick 3, or they can find a way to get in the box, I think that'll be trouble for the Broncos, and vice versa, right? With all the blitz packages and all the things that Pittsburgh likes to done in their history, right? If they can't contain Bo and Bo gets out and make a couple third down runs, right, with his legs on top of what they both can do with their arms, as far as both quarterbacks. But if both quarterbacks can find a way to make some plays with their feet on certain third downs, whoever win the third down percentage, I will bet a lot on it that it was going to win this game.
So CJ, going up against a guy like TJ Watt, who's like the worst guy where you've had to go out and like chip and try to slow down when you're trying to go out there to have, like a TJ Watt, like who's the worst player?
Strongest player I ever played against who ran through my chip and the left tackle was Khalil Mack.
Oh,
the Mac Man is what I call him. And I actually had a protection. This is Steelers playoff game 2015. Peyton plays to protect. Peyton changed the protection.
Did you have to yell at him? I know.
Nah, I didn't yell at him. I knew what it was, but I did look at him crazy like, you do know you got me on James Harrison. James Harrison ran me smooth over. But we got the ball off, but I did slide slow death. But nah, James Harrison, those guys, Justin Houston, but like Khalil Mack, you got to find a way to chip them. You got to find a way, whether you chip them with the running back, chip them with the tight end, you got to find a way to slow them down. You can't let him have a bunch of one-on-ones to wreck the game. Like I played Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack had 5 sacks in one half. We just couldn't stop him, no matter if we tried to chip him, tried to do. So you got to do different things, right? You got to mix it up. Got to make him play the run, right? You can't just let him sit back there all day and say, hey, here comes the pass. I know it's coming. I mean, you saw what he did last week. Last week, They took 2 sacks away from him. One of the sacks, he wasn't even offside. It was perfect timing. They took a strip sack away from him, so he can wreck the game, man. He's a really good player, and Sean has to have a plan for him.
I would say this, that the only other guy that like TJ Watt is Max Crosby, because he's a dude.
Yep.
And you better chip him. You better know where he is. You know, it's interesting. We haven't talked about it with the CU game, but I don't know if you guys saw, but someone drove a car onto Folsom Field.
On the Folsom Field. Yeah, I've seen that on Twitter. Yeah.
So I guess some guy was getting chased by the police, which, you know, in Boulder, I mean, you know, why are we even having high-speed chases in Boulder?
Were they on the scooters or what?
And then somehow this guy just figured, this is a way to get away. I will drive onto Folsom Field.
F-150 drove right on the 50-yard line.
Yeah, and then parked it on the one. Yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know if that's a good omen or not for the Buffs. At least they're playing away. And I think that's an interesting component of the game also. This is the first time that the series, the Rocky Mountain Showdown, is going to be in Fort Collins in a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that, and I'm being told that he did the YMCA when he got out of the car.
When he got out the car?
So this guy gets some, he's got to get some points or from the judges for creativity and, you know, what do they call it? Difficulty of the dive. And, you know, I mean,
does he have an NIL deal with Ford to put the F-150 on the 1 yard line?
Is that NIL with Prime to get up there to, you know, let's put more media attention on this. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter yesterday that a guy was like, how do you chase into Folsom Field? Like, he chased me into the stadium. Like, what?
You know, I will tell you, you know, when you talk about the Broncos last week, and, you know, I'm not a big PFF guy or whatever, but I'm looking right now, and that's Pro Football Focus. And so they grade every player if you get the premium stats, and you can look on Monday what their grades were. Now, like I said, I don't put a lot of stake in it because, you know, how do you grade 16 games within 12 hours of, you know, all 53 guys? But their offensive line grades: Bowles 55, Powers 58.6, Wattenberg 56, Meinertz, who they just paid a Brinks truckload, 43, and McGlinchey 67. So you've got 5 offensive linemen under 70.
One F and a D.
Right. All right.
Sounded like my high school chemistry class grades.
Bunch of F's in the
Dulcich with a 48.5 rating. Williams with a 55.1. Bo Nix with a 44.6 rating. Okay. Woo. So you're looking at guys that really nobody had a rating over 67.
Jeez.
So, and then on defense, you know, we thought Singleton played well. Locke had a 69. You know, Cooper, the 2 outside backers, Cooper and Browning, did a nice job. DJ Jones, a little bit underachieving, 56.8. I'll tell you that the one dude that they have, the Broncos, has 99 Allen. I think he plays hard every snap. He's never going to, you know, he's never going to be flashy or whatever, but he you know, he's like a lot like Aaron Smith was with the Steelers, just solid.
Kyle Williams with the Bills, solid player,
yeah,
hard motor, right? Really good player. Like, you got to respect him because he going to play ball every play.
So what are your guys' thoughts? Are we going to beat them?
Well, the offensive line has got to be better than the 55s. Okay.
You got the good old TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward coming into town for sure.
I always remember this that Joe Thomas, speaking of you know, playing the Steelers, it was maybe his first, second, or third year in the league, and he'd call me up the day after they played the Steelers, and, you know, I think they were playing for the Browns. Maybe the first half was 28-7. They were getting their asses whooped, but they slowly brought back. They still lost, but they played much better in the second half. And I said, Joe, what the hell happened at halftime? He goes, you know, the coach is saying this, and, you know, if this guy's blitzing here, and if this, you know, you need to slide here, and then you need to look up the right. And finally, Joe said, block the guy in front of you.
Hey,
they made it simple.
Only all pro every year in his career. Like, there's nobody who does it better than Joey T, man.
Keep it simple.
Hopefully we can get him on the watch party Sunday.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Nah, yeah, Joe's I love Joe. I mean, I'm pretty sure he wish he could have played on some of these Brown teams now, but yeah, when it came to Joe blocked some of the hardest people in the division and, like, erased them. right? Joe done some good things, but are we going to win? Are the Broncos?
That's all I want to know. Do you still
weekend?
Do you still
Wait,
believe
I'm
in
an
Sean
agent.
Payton?
I'm an agent. I don't have we.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm retired. I don't have we either.
I got us.
I do care about watching good football. If I'm going to be brutally honest, Bronco fans, you will not be on my pick'ems this week.
What?
So I will be picking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this football game. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers is a better football team.
If you're doing a survivor pick'em, how highly would you rate this one as just a gimme for the Steelers?
Well, hold up before you talk about that. So interesting little tidbit, and this is what I love watching, because the Bengals, and I don't really understand the whole survivor thing. I guess you have to pick one game. You could be in this pool with 1 million people, and who could pick one victory every week.
Yep.
There's got to be one layup, one gimme.
Yeah, is this the most layup game of the weekend?
Yeah, 35% of survivor pools are done because they picked the Bengals.
Because they picked the Bengals, right? Everybody's see ya, exile.
Think about that. First week of the season, 35% of all survivor pools are dead.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they picked the Bengals. Who would have thought the Patriots beat the Bengals? I mean, I don't know, man. It's a week-to-week league. I think both teams get better. I mean, it's obviously Pittsburgh's on the road for the second time, so they have that atmosphere. They understand it. Now, playing at Mile High is completely different. The altitude early in the season is completely different, right? So there are obviously some advantages on the Denver Broncos side, but I do think that depending on how the game goes and knowing who TJ Watt is, if TJ Watt can wreck the game, it's gonna be a long day.
TJ Watt is a dude. TJ Watt is a dude.
He can play, man. I don't say that about too many people. He can play.
It's interesting. I'm going to have Steelers get in town. They're coming in early Saturday. I think they land at 9:30, so they'll probably have their walkthrough at the hotel. I won't tell you which hotel because I remember back in the day when before. I don't know if Rob remembers, but when the Browns came to town, and I think they were playing this, or some team was playing in the AFC Championship game, and maybe it might have been the Steelers in late 90s, but some radio station put out what hotel they were at, and the Bronco fans just drove around the hotel all night honking.
So I will tell you this, Bronco fans. I'm gonna tell you this, Bronco fans. I don't know if this has changed. Obviously, I've been out the league for 4 years. I've been out of Denver for 10 years, or not 10 years, 6, 7 years. They usually stay in Westminster. So if you want to give them any problem, there's a West End. There's a West End in Westminster that they usually stay in, and you can honk the horn and pull the Bill Belichick fire alarm. I hated that.
How many times did it happen to you as a player, CJ?
That is illegal. No, we can't say that because we can't encourage.
No,
we can't encourage like January 6th stuff, inciting riots. That's illegal.
Twice. Yeah.
But you can.
I've been in New England twice and woke up in my middle of my sleep because the fire alarm's put on the hotel. There's no way you can't tell me Bill Belichick can hire somebody to do that.
You can. It's free speech. You can honk a horn wherever you want.
I don't put a fire alarm, but you can definitely drive around the hotel. They usually stay in Westminster. If that has changed, I'm sorry, they won't stay downtown. I can promise you that.
There's some guy got the biggest meeting of his life on Sunday. He's staying out there, and you just gave him like the wrong hotel, and they're like, "I can't sleep. I had the biggest sales appointment of my life on Sunday, and because of CJ, I couldn't get any rest."
Sorry, but I think it's gonna be a great game. I think both teams match up really well. I think, like I said, I think VJ defense is playing awesome.
Yeah,
right. And I think early in the season, there's some things. I would love to see the Broncos get their first win here, but I just don't know. Now, I can eat my own words. I'm okay with eating my own words, right? But
I will tell you this, though.
Pittsburgh will definitely be on my pick'ems. I got to be honest with that.
Oh, come on. You're killing me,
I picked the Broncos last week and got strapped, lost the game.
Come on.
You're a Dolphin fan.
I know. I got to root for the Broncos. I'm in Denver. Come on.
But I will tell you this. So I think that in the NFL is great about this. It's going to be a heck of a game.
Absolutely.
And home cooking might help, right? Home cooking might make Bo play outstanding.
Right.
I still believe in Bo. So let's not get this twisted, Broncos fans. Even though I might not be picking y'all this week, does not mean I do not believe in both.
Are you buying stock in the Broncos? If you could buy stock
I'm still yeah, I ain't sold yet. I'm still in.
Okay, all right.
I still believe in what they got going on and what they're gonna do because of the coaching staff, because of the talent they putting around. And like, if I'm honest, I probably believe in Sean Payton and VJ more than I believe in Bo. Right? I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but VJ is gonna have the defense ready to play. That's one thing I know about VJ. Sean is gonna do his part. It's all about if the players can execute it, and I think home cooking, I think that helps, right?
That's fair. I want to remind people, Simpler.ai is a digital marketing company helping your organization be found in a complex digital world simply. That's Simpler.ai. In the description, there's a link to their website and a link to set up an appointment. If your organization needs help, set that appointment and talk to them soon.
Hey, today Friday, but my answer can change Monday. I do wake up and watch the countdown and do change my answer. So my pick'ems is going that way today, but Sunday I can be picking the Broncos.
Sunday at kickoff, you may start changing the
Our rule in my family pick'ems is you can change your picks, but once the ball is kicked, you cannot change your picks. So
that's fair. That's fair. Besides, while we're watching, go ahead.
I will tell you this though. I think that last week, the great part about the NFL is there were so many great games.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, Saints, Cowboys, great game. Buccaneers, Lions, both 1-0, great game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game.
Right? Even the Jets, Titans, both 0-1, great game. 49ers, Vikings, 1-0, great game. All right.
You know what game is hard to pick? Commanders, Giants.
Well, I was about to say
that one.
I was about to say if you're in your survivor pool,
right?
If you're still alive after last week's Patriot deal, who are you picking?
For the layup this week?
Yeah, for a layup. The Browns, Jaguars, no. Raiders, Ravens.
Chiefs over the Bengals.
Rams, Cardinals, no. Steelers.
Chiefs, Bengals was going to be better than what people think. Raiders, Ravens, you would think the Ravens win that easily. Niners, Vikings, you would think, even though the Vikings play well, you would think the Niners win that easily. But also the Niners lost to the Vikings last year. Right?
I would think the two games that I would play if I was a betting man, if I did play the survivor pool, would be Eagles, Falcons. I take the Eagles and the Texans, Bears. But
Texans, Bears would be a layup for me.
I'm just saying there's no real, and that's what makes the NFL so great. There's no real layup on the survivor pool.
No, that's fair. Wow. So speaking of other games, guys, besides the Broncos and besides CU at CSU, what game are you most looking forward to this week? And we got Notre Dame at Purdue at 1:30 on CBS. Notre Dame's favored by 11.5. Or Alabama at Wisconsin, 10 a.m. on Fox. Alabama's favored by 16. What college game are you most looking forward to?
If you really want to be honest, it's tonight. Arizona and Kansas State tonight. Both teams are ranked. That's going to be really dope. Obviously, Bama and Wisconsin is another one, but there's another one for me that people are not talking about, or two of them that people are not talking about as much, right? There's Billy Napier, who's on the hot seat versus Texas A&M. So Florida and Texas A&M. And then there's our old friend Billy O going down to Missouri and going to play a really good Missouri team. But Billy O is living off some momentum right now. He has a quarterback that's very dynamic, that can run and throw, right? They'd be curious to see how Billy O'Brien does his thing down there against Missouri. Missouri being ranked 6, Boston College being ranked 24. Those are the two games for me that stand out where I'm like, oh, I can't watch it. And then obviously my good old Cal Bears, we 2-0. We went up to Auburn and beat Auburn last week. So, roll on.
I get it. Hey, you know what the game I can't wait for is, CJ? Let's go against Ball State, the U.
You're playing Ball State. Like, come on, man.
Hey,
we'll see you in 2 weeks, and I'll be at that game. We'll see you in 2 weeks down in California, and I'll be at that game.
I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
All right, so we're back. We're back Sunday at 2:20. People remember it's not 2:05. It's 2:20.
Yep. We're the late afternoon game. We got Chad Brown, former Steeler, coming on with us. We got Scott McLaughlin, former GM, coming on with us. Other friends you guys are working on. It'll be a great time watching the game along with everybody. Mute the game, watch it, listen to us. It'll be a lot of fun. Hey, Sean Michael. Hey, we got some people chiming in the comments here, guys.
What's happening, Sean? What's happening? And then honestly, so just to answer before we jump off, on the NFL side games I'm looking to, like I said, pick the Giants in the Commanders game. That's going to be a hard pick, but I think what game is going to be good with two teams that are 0-1 is the Rams at the Cardinals.
Ooh.
Right? Because the Cardinals, I've been told people the Rams are going to surprise a lot of teams, but the Cardinals are going to be better than what people think. And obviously, they drove Buffalo down to the wire last week. Obviously, they get home cooking. Hopefully, they can find a way to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved. Obviously, we know what the Rams can do now. Sucks, right? Puka had the non-contract knee injury. Hopefully, Puka can be better. Hopefully Puka like Godspeed on his healing is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But I think with those two teams being 0-1, it's a divisional game. That's gonna be a doozy. That's gonna be a doozy down there in good old Phoenix with Arizona. That's a good game to look at, right? Along what's going on in the afternoon games.
I'm looking forward to the Sunday night game. Like Peter was saying, all the games are good. You never know what's going to happen. But the Bears, Texans, I love C.J. Stroud. I love the receiver core they've built up with the Texans. Joe Mixon down there running the ball. See if he's going to have another monster game. See if he can get 168.
Nope. Love you, Joe, but you can't beat me, dog. I gotta have something. No, you already got a second round pick and all that other stuff over me. I gotta have something. And you had an agent who we had the same agent, but he loves you more than he loves me to put you in a position to go get 30 carries a game.
Hey, CJ, agents kind of like parents where they got their favorite, but they're not going to say who their favorite is.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I just when that text went through, Pete ain't heard. He ain't heard from me in a nice way.
Rob, I don't have favorites.
That trade went through.
I don't have favorites. I love all my players and kids. Same.
So all I said, man, I know when that happened. I text Pete. I said, Pete, that was probably. I mean, I know you had Eddie George and Jerome Bettis and Barry Sanders. You've had some good backs, but I said, Pete, that was probably your best running back move that I've seen in my time moving Joe to Houston, where he can live in the culture because that's how Joe is. We just from the Bay. We love down there, down south, and then B, he gonna get his carries and be a Pro Bowl back this year, hopefully.
Peter, we gotta start calling you. We're gonna start calling you like the running back agent, right? It's like RBA.
Nah, just don't call me late for dinner.
Right. No, guys, a lot of fun today. Those watching, thank you so much for watching. Much appreciate it. Share it, like it with your friends. We're back Sunday, 2:20 right here on Twitter and on YouTube. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, CJ Anderson, Super Bowl back, spitting wisdom to us.
Come back, 220. We need to see you here right now. 220, man. Come back. Right, we having a lot of fun. We growing it. Right, Rob closing us out. These are my final thoughts. My final thought is this: if you don't come back and watch us, who are you watching? You don't really want to hear Romo. You don't want to hear Nance. Nance ain't even doing NCAA basketball no more. You don't want to hear Brady and the dude that's with Brady. Come listen to me and Shafe, right? And the cake is baked. You're going to have some fun, right? Now you're done. So come over here and let's do our thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. I am kind of interested about Tom Brady, see what he says. But still.
Well, Peter, I'm hoping the best for Tua right now.
Absolutely.
Same.
So special thanks, CJ Anderson, Peter Schaefer, Sean Hakes at Simpler. Thank us real for letting us use their music. We'll be out here. We'll see clips of this out there on YouTube. Like, share those as well, and we're on Spotify and iTunes as well. We're about everywhere you can look. So, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you in just a few hours, like 50 hours. What is it? Something like that. I guess I should have done the math on that before. I guess.
Go Bears! And I don't mean Chicago.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'll be pulling up.